Hi there, and welcome to the Somewhere Between Here and Healing podcast. I'm Viv, your host and fellow traveler on this journey of navigating life after growing up with a narcissistic parent. Together, we'll explore the messy, the funny, and the downright unbelievable stories of family, life, and self discovery. Please let it be known I am not a therapist nor claim to be an expert in any way. I am simply someone who's been through it, still figuring things out, and I'm here to share my story with you. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's get this thing started. Welcome back, y'all. Today, we're diving into something that a lot of you are probably familiar with in some capacity: the perfect family facade. If you've ever been around a narcissist, you might have noticed how important it is to them to appear flawless to the outside world. And when you grow up in a family where one parent is a narcissist, or both, you quickly learn that you got it. You're part of that facade too. You're not just living your life, you're playing a role in a performance the narcissist in your life has created. So, why do narcissists feel the need to present this perfect image? How do they pull it off so convincingly? And what's it like to grow up in the middle of it? Let's talk about it. At their core, narcissists often carry deep insecurities and fears of being seen as anything less than exceptional. That's where the mask comes in. The perfect image isn't just for show, it's a shield to protect them from criticism, judgment, and any feelings of inadequacy. It's giving themselves something perhaps that they never had growing up. By projecting these images of success, competence, charm, love, they can control how the world perceives them. In my father's case, he had to seem like he did it all and was it all. And he was. He worked a great job and made sure everyone knew how respected he was at work. He wanted to be seen as a pillar of the community, and he was. He went out of his way to involve himself in activities and social events. He was an acting member of the church, attending every weekend without fail. My brother and I were altar servers, and my mother taught Sunday school. Outside of work and church, he was the life of the party at family gatherings, always ready with grand stories and jokes that would leave everyone laughing. People admired him for his wit and charm, and he thrived on that. Who wouldn't? Growing up, even when we didn't have a lot of money, he found ways to make it look like we did. He would take on projects to update the house, ensuring it always looked polished and well kept. The lawn was immaculate, the paint was fresh, and every detail was attended to. It didn't matter if the effort strained us financially, what mattered was how it appeared on the outside. If there was something he didn't know how to do, he'd learn it, whether it was fixing things around the house or picking up new skills. It added to the illusion that he could do anything and everything. Now, this constant drive to appear perfect wasn't just about him. It, of course, extended to all of us. We had to play our roles in the performance. We would dress a certain way, act a certain way, and were expected to meet these impossible standards that he had set for himself. Now, of course, saying that out loud, these aren't all bad things, or they don't seem like bad things at all, really. We were provided for, taken care of, and wanted for nothing. Our needs were met with a consistency that many would envy: clothes that fit, food on the table, a clean home to return to every day. We had our faith, which gave us a sense of grounding and purpose. On the surface, everything appeared whole, seamless, like the perfect portrait of family. But as the years went on, the cracks began to show, for me anyway, subtle at first, and I realized some of these things served a different purpose. For a narcissist, the mask, facade, it does serve multiple purposes. It's about creating a life and having things that make them proud, that others might even envy. It's about control. controlling how others see them, and by extension, how they feel about themselves. And it's also about validation. A narcissist craves admiration and praise, and the perfect facade ensures a steady supply of it. The more people who buy into that image, the more that they can feel secure in their carefully crafted identity. Now, the need for perfection isn't limited to any one narcissist. It's a defining trait of narcissism as a whole. The mask is their way of coping with an internal world that can feel chaotic and one where they feel unworthy. So let's look at a few examples of how this can play out in different scenarios. One, the corporate superstar. Think of the boss who seems to have everything figured out. They're the first one in the office, last one to leave, and they're always talking about their latest achievements. Behind closed doors, they micromanage their team to exhaustion and take credit for ideas that aren't theirs. Their polished image as a high achiever masks their fear of being seen as incompetent or unfit to do the job. Two, the social media influencer. On Instagram, their life looks picture perfect: exotic vacations, designer outfits, and constant smiles. And what their followers don't see is the frantic effort behind the scenes to curate every post and hide the financial or emotional struggles they might be facing. Influencers' mask is their way of securing admiration and avoiding vulnerability. Three, the super parent. This parent is at every school function, leading the PTA and baking the best cupcakes for every fundraiser. To outsiders, they seem like the ultimate caregiver. But at home, their children might feel the weight of impossibly high expectations and little emotional connection. The mask of being a super parent helps them feel validated while diverting attention from their shortcomings. Four, the philanthropist. This person is always seen donating to charities or volunteering for good causes. On the surface, they're generous and selfless, but their involvement often comes with strings attached. They want recognition, whether it's their name on a plaque or public praise for their efforts. The mask of altruism hides their need for external validation. These quick and simple examples show how the mask serves as a tool for managing a narcissist's self image. By projecting a persona that garners admiration, they can shield themselves from feelings of shame or inadequacy. But the cost of maintaining the mask is high, and not just for them, but for everyone around them. So, how do they use these traits, their traits, to their advantage? Narcissists are often incredibly skilled at using their traits to manipulate situations to their benefit. They can combine charisma, calculated actions, and an acute awareness of others' perceptions to build and maintain their facade. Here are just a few ways that they can use these traits. One, charisma and charm. Narcissists know how to captivate an audience. They can light up a room with their humor, wit, and attention grabbing stories. Their charm is often their greatest tool, helping them gain trust and admiration from others. Two, strategic generosity. They'll help others or give gifts, but there's often an ulterior motive. These acts are designed to create loyalty or make others indebted to them rather than being truly selfless gestures. Three, positioning for praise. They gravitate toward roles or activities where they can shine, whether it's leading a project at work or volunteering in the community. They strategically place themselves where they're most likely to receive recognition. And four, controlling the narrative. Narcissists are adept at spinning stories to their advantage. They might downplay their mistakes, shift blame, or exaggerate their accomplishments to ensure they remain in a positive light. Now, I want to take just a quick minute to tell you a little story. I met Kay a few years ago, and after many months of friendship, we discovered we had something in common: a narcissistic family member. When the first slip of narcissism exited my mouth, her eyes almost lit up, but not in a happy way, in more of a like a knowing recognition, the kind that comes from someone who has lived through a similar kind of chaos. We ended up becoming really close friends, leaning on each other and swapping stories about growing up with a narcissistic parent. It felt almost surreal to meet someone who didn't just understand, but who actually got it. The mind games, the manipulation, the subtle digs disguised as love sometimes, the mask. Kay's mother, much like my father, had perfected the art of tearing someone down with a smile. She told me about her childhood, how her mom was that perfect parent in public. PTA meetings, church functions, a perfect dance mom. She was charming, poised, and loved by pretty much everyone. But behind closed doors, it was a different story. Kay's mom had a way of making her feel like an afterthought. She'd dismiss her feelings with phrases like, "Don't be so dramatic," or "You're just too sensitive." Phrases that I knew all too well, and phrases that some of you might also know so well. Anytime Kay achieved something, good grades, a dance trophy, even landing her first job, her mother would chime in and take credit. "Well, you wouldn't have done it without me pushing you," she'd say. Or worse, she'd make it a competition sometimes, finding ways to highlight her own accomplishments instead. "Well, I always got straight A's." The turning point for Kay came when she got engaged. Her mother threw a dinner party to celebrate, but instead of letting Kay shine, her mom stole the spotlight. Toast after toast, her mom told everyone about her sacrifices and hard work in raising such a smart, talented daughter. She even brought up embarrassing childhood stories, the kind meant to humiliate rather than be cute and funny, laughing at Kay's expense while the guests join in unknowingly. And Kay sat there, forced to smile, her face burning with humiliation while her mother soaked in all the attention. After that dinner, Kay began setting boundaries. She started saying no without that feeling of guilt afterwards. She skipped family dinners when she didn't feel emotionally prepared to deal with her mother's manipulations. And as you would expect, her mother didn't take it well. She, of course, played the victim, telling anyone who would listen how ungrateful Kay was, how she'd given everything to her unappreciative daughter. Hearing Kay's story made me realize how eerily similar our experiences were. The guilt, gaslighting, the constant feeling of not being enough, but having to appear enough to everyone else. It was all there. And Kay once told me, "I can love my mother without letting her control me." And that stuck with me. It's a delicate balance for sure, and it's not perfect, but it is progress. Now let's get back to it. As a child, you don't know what's real and what's potentially a performance. You don't question it, you simply exist, trusting that the world around you is as it should be. Childhood is supposed to be a time to feel safe, loved, and cared for. But when you grow up in a household ruled by a narcissist, that innocence is quietly stolen from you. For me, the expectations were clear growing up, and I remember how heavy it all felt, even as a child. There is no room for mistakes and not a lot of space to simply be. Any misstep had the potential to be a disaster, a crack in the perfect picture we were meant to represent. You learn quickly to keep your head down, to silence your own needs, and to measure your worth by how well you uphold your part in it all. Behind closed doors, the reality could be starkly different than what the rest of the world saw. As a child, I didn't know to question it. I didn't know that love shouldn't have to be earned or that a home should always feel safe. I only knew the role I was expected to play, believing if I played it well enough, maybe I'd finally feel the acceptance I longed for. And sadly, this narrative isn't unique. It is a story far too many children grow up living. hidden behind closed doors, while the world outside sees only the curated image of a perfect family. These children grow into adults who can carry the weight of those roles, struggling to understand their worth beyond the expectations placed on them. It's heartbreaking, but it's also a reminder of the importance of breaking the cycle, of finding our voices, setting proper boundaries, and reclaiming the childhood we deserved, even if that comes later on in life. Living in a family where appearances are everything can take a deep, lasting toll. For many of us, it creates a constant swirl of confusion and anxiety. On one hand, there's a strange sense of pride and the admiration others have for our family, whether it's for achievements, outward success, or seemingly perfect dynamic. But on the other hand, there's that suffocating weight of the expectations and the undeniable truth that what others see isn't the full picture. This duality often makes it hard to trust your own reality. When the outside world holds you up as the perfect family, you begin to question whether the issues behind closed doors are real, were real, or if you're just imagining them or making them worse. It's a subtle form of gaslighting, one that happens without the need for words. The polished image the world admires stands in stark contrast to the dysfunction that quietly unfolds at home, leaving you wondering which version of reality is actually true. And even as an adult, the echoes of that upbringing don't just fade away for most. The pressure to be flawless, the constant fear of disappointing others, and the struggle to untangle who you truly are from who you were expected to be, those feelings don't just vanish once you leave the home. They follow you, quietly shaping the way you see yourself and how you navigate relationships and the world around you. And for many of us, healing from that sort of environment is a long journey, one that requires learning to trust our own experiences, separate from the mask we were taught to wear. If you've grown up in a similar environment, like I said at the beginning, a lot of this likely sounds familiar to you, or you're going through it, or you're just discovering it, or you're on the path to healing from it. Recognizing the facade for what it is can be a powerful first step in breaking free from its grip. It is not easy to unlearn the patterns and beliefs that are instilled in us, but it is possible. For me, part of my healing process has been being able to share my story, use my voice, and connecting with others who have had similar experiences. The truth is, the perfect family facade is just that, a facade. Behind every carefully crafted image can be a lot of pain and insecurity, both for the narcissist and for the people around them. But by shining a light on all this, we can start to see these things for what they are and ergo begin to find our way forward. And that is it for today. It was a lot, and I feel like I ended quickly, but that's where I'm at. As always, thank you for listening to this episode. If this one resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts or experience or questions. Let's keep that conversation going. And as always, take care of you. Until next time, Viv. Thank you for listening and spending time with me today. I appreciate you all so much. If you haven't already, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and follow me on social media. Your support means the world. Plus, it really helps a podcast grow and reach more people like us. And don't forget, I'd love to hear from you. Send me your questions, share your story, or just drop by to say hello at vivvance@gmail.com. Until next time, remember, healing isn't linear, life can be unpredictable, but you are never alone in this journey. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.